Very warm welcome to all of you for joining in on this webinar to understand how to find stability in the times of crisis. And when I was thinking of doing a webinar, I thought like this is a very apt uh, topic to really go ahead and talk about what is needed in these times of crisis, because there are so many crises which are going on right now. And every day we hear something new which is challenging us, which is making us think again about trusting the world, trusting in our own self, our own power, but also understanding that how do I really deal with this, with the constant change, and the pace at which this change is happening is uh, much more fast paced. So, so we would be discussing some of these things, and let me share my screen, and I would keep on switching between the screen, my presentation, and my video. So just want to make sure that you understand that, and wherever is required I would show you the screen, otherwise I would be the one who would be talking most of the time. This is a one-way interaction. I'm broadcasting, so you're only going to see me, hear me, and I'm not able to see anybody else. I can only interact with you on the chat box. So if you have any questions, feel free to just leave a comment here. I would try to uh, cover as many questions as possible at the end of the webinar, because I have to cover a bunch of things which I want to cover first before I jump into any question and answers. So none of you are able to see me. You can only interact with each other by leaving a comment. So let's go ahead and start. So 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 today's topic is how to find stability in the time of crisis. And if you guys can see my screen, just leave a note that you can see my screen. This would be a PowerPoint picture which says how to find stability in the times of crisis. Okay, so as all of you know that we are living in very challenging times, and these challenging times have actually created challenges for us to to live a life which is very demanding, and also to respond to all these challenges as we encounter them. So before we jump into understanding how do we create stability into our day-to-day life to manage the crisis, we need to understand what does crisis really means. And what crisis really means here is that it's a crucial or a decisive point or a situation which is a turning point. And what I mean by turning point here is that all these crises actually take you to a point where you need to make a choice. And as you have to make a choice, if you really see, the Greek word is to make a decision or to decide. But a lot of people just stop when they talk about crisis as just crisis, and this is what it is, and I don't know what to do. But ultimately, all it is pushing you is to make a choice. And if you really see, there are different kind of crises which are there. There are financial crises, there are financial crisis, there are environmental crisis, there's political crisis, diplomatic crisis. You have a new job you want to go for, that leads to a crisis. So if you see, all of these are there on day-to-day basis which we have to deal with, and each one of them brings a different challenge altogether. So if you really want to see how it works, is if you open your television, go to any news site, just take a moment and just take a moment and understand how the news media is working. And what I mean by that is just see how everything there is so much taking attention from you, and each one is throwing its own challenge. You can even actually count uh, on your fingertips, out of the 10 news which you are seeing on the TV, how many of them are positive, how many of them are negative, how many of them are crisis based, and how many of them are uplifting. So if you really see, and I have done this experiment, I've seen like sometimes there's 9 out of 10 news are absolutely negative or crisis based, sometimes 10 out of 10. So imagine how much of this energy which is coming to you in different forms, like news is energy which you are taking inside. What kind of space it's creating inside you. So if you really take a moment, like what you're feeding yourself, and all of these are, if I may say, some of these are impersonal, like something happened at some other place, even though we are all connected, but nothing directly connected here. Something happened at some other place, and when that has happened, how does that impact you? So you have your own bunch of stuff going on, then you hear all of these new things which are coming up. So now imagine what's moving inside you. There's a lot of crisis energy. So one is the crisis which are coming from external circumstance, and the other one is the one which is actually your own internal. And what is the internal what is the internal crisis, if you may say? So, and I would call this internal crisis more as a personal crisis. It's a crisis around these 4 things, which is spiritual crisis, which is identity-based crisis, values-based crisis, and self-awareness crisis. Like why I am here, doing whatever I am doing, am I listening to my inner voice? All of these kind of things. Similarly, there are mental crises, like you're thinking, discriminating, deciding, acting. All of them are actually challenged. You don't know what is the right process to think. You can't discriminate what is right, what is wrong. You can't decide. You go this way or that way, and you don't know how to act in a particular manner. And at an emotional level, your feelings, intuitions, emotions, all of them are kind of so much, like unclear, because they have just gone into each other, that you don't really know what I'm feeling, what are these emotions. I'm feeling more than one emotion at the same time. Sometimes I'm not feeling anything at all, and I don't hear my own voice of intuition. And all of these could be coming from different places, whatever is going on. Some people are going through divorce. Some people are going through midlife crisis. Sometimes the festival comes and then you have to shop. That leads to a crisis. Sometimes your relationships are not going as you wish them to go. So that's a crisis at a relationship level. And then you have a crisis which is happening at a physical level. Even though I'm calling all of these things as crisis, but ultimately all of them are in some way or other are leading to a point where you have to decide, and you have to choose one way or the other. So that's all what crisis is all about. So now the question comes. Why is crisis so challenging? Why are crises so challenging in nature? So the crisis is challenging in nature because you have to finally come to a conclusion of making a choice of doing something differently, which is like now you have to decide about doing things in a different way, not the way you have been used to, not the way things have always worked. And a lot of times we want our life to grow. Like when we want to grow, we have to make choices whether we have to get into a new job, get into a new school, get into a new relationship, whatever it is. But those are ones which we plan, right? But when we talk about crisis, some of them are coming to us when we are not ready. So what happens is it challenges us, and it challenges us at different levels. So let's explore a little bit more what all challenges it brings. So first of all, it pushes you out of your comfort zone. You're not ready for for that particular scenario. So now you have to make a tough decision ahead. And in that moment, as you are ready to take a tough decision ahead, you are not sure whether the decision which you're going to take is going to be right, because you don't have all the information, you don't have all the data, And sometimes the lack of these resources, the internal power, the clarity, the stability which is required is not available to you to go ahead and make those tough decisions. You call it tough because you don't know whether the decisions you're making are going to be the right choices, the right decision in long term. So that's why sometimes you have heard that all of these crises create pain because now you're being pushed out of your comfort zone. And this being pushed out of your comfort zone is kind of a pain. And pain, first of all, you have to understand pain doesn't show up in our lives for no reason. It's a sign that something in our life needs to change. And somewhere I heard also that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. If you really want to live fully, you have to get out of your comfort zone, which is also you have to take the risks to live your own life. And all of these are actually happening at a much more faster pace. If you really see whether it's at a personal level, at an economical level, at a political level, it's hard to make sense out of it. We are not, if you really, some of you might be thinking, we are not like programmed or we are not raised to handle so many crises, at our spiritual level, emotional level, physical level. And we have gone through crisis previously in our life, we have experienced, but it was one at a time. Like sometimes we were emotionally challenged, sometimes we were mentally challenged, sometimes we were physically challenged. But now, at this particular point of time in our lives, all of these are coming at the same time. And that's why it is becoming much more difficult. So previously you could step back, take some time, and decide what you need to do. But right now, as soon as you are done with one choice, one decision, you have to jump on the other one to take care of all other one. And sometimes you realize you don't have enough energy to to separate all of them. What needs to be done at external level, what choices you have to make versus what choices you have to make for the personal. They are all kind of coming together. So it becomes very hard for you to separate all of these different choices as one is impacting the other. So if you want to understand a little bit in a different perspective, crisis is a life event that an individual perceives as stressful to the extent that normal coping mechanisms are insufficient. So what I mean by that is that normal coping mechanisms are the way you were raised, like the way you were taught, like all the education, all the bringing, all the advices, everything seems inappropriate at this moment of time, or you don't have all the resources available for you to work your way through these crises, these situations which are very demanding. And what happens is not all of us are very good at managing change in our lives. So if you would see that if you see your own friends, your own parents, people around you, each one responds to changes in a very different way. So a crisis is basically coming to a decision point. It's bringing a change, and for that change, you have to make a choice. So we are not all very good at. Some of us can't handle it completely, so we freeze. Some of us run away, which is the flight syndrome, and some of us manage it slowly, try to understand it, and some of us are very good. We just go ahead and manage it quickly. But more and more, as more and more crises are coming for you to handle, more and more choices being thrown at you to choose, uh, it becomes much more challenging for you. And the biggest challenge is you don't know, just like as I mentioned previously, what's going to happen next. Tomorrow, what's going to happen, because tomorrow is such an unknown entity for you. And you realize that, like, I don't know this unknown, and there is a fear of unknown. And a lot of people might say, like, oh, there is a fear of unknown. I don't really know what's going on, what's going to happen. But ultimately, based on my experience, what I realized is that we are not scared of the unknown. What we are scared of is losing what is known. And what I mean by losing what is known is, if you if you understand that losing what is unknown is, what are the known things in our life? So if you really see, the known things in our lives are these 7 P's, which is position, power, pay, possession, people, prestige, and personality. I already have this, and I have found, because I know how much quantity I have each one of these, I have already created my own balance. So if this goes off, I would probably rely on something else. So maybe my position is good, so I'm basically drawing the power from there. I am in a powerful position, so I feel very comfortable there. I have that much amount of money. So all of these 7 P's are the ones you are scared, are the known things you are scared of losing. But if you really understand and just take a moment and just like think about it in your life, has everything stayed the same throughout? And what I mean by stayed the same is that, do you have the same number of people in your life since the time you were growing up? Same number of friends? Do you have the same amount of money in your bank? Do you have the same amount of dresses in your closet? Everything has changed. So even whatever money you had yesterday, you have something different today. So everything keeps on moving and changing. So instead of being challenged by what is losing the unknown, losing the known, you should start looking into a different way. And the challenge is that we are not really so comfortable with all the change which is coming at such a strong, at such a high pace. Do I manage my pay? Do I manage my relationship? Do I manage the power which I have? All of these things are very challenging, and each one of us actually manages or handles the loss. And loss here doesn't really mean there is actual loss. There is perceived loss also. And perceived loss is something. What would happen if I lose any of those, any of those 7 things? The balance goes off. The so-called balance, which is in your mind, it goes off. And it's not the first time the balance would go off. You have actually experienced it in the past, that things have shifted, but you have also managed it. But there is always that resistance to, how would I manage all of these things? So as the as there is a consciousness of perceived loss, everybody goes through this, what do you call it, the 5 stages of grief or loss, which is shared, which is actually put forward by Elisabeth Kübler-Ross model. So first of all, you are in denial, that this thing has happened. Then there is anger around it, like why this thing has happened. So after you go from denial to anger, then you come to a place of bargaining, which is like you start bargaining whatever it is, whether that relationship should come back to you, whether that loss, that money should come back to you, or that amount of power or prestige which you have lost should come back to you. And then when that bargaining doesn't help, you finally come into depression, like, I don't know what's going to happen. And a lot of people, if you see, keep on moving between 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, till the time they come into a place of acceptance that this thing has happened. They accept that. And the moment they accept it, they move to the next level, which is finding the solution. A very simple model or example which I found replicating these 5 stages is is this model of recession. So somebody says it would be a quick recovery, and you don't know. It was partially you were in denial, that person, that it would be a quick recovery. Then whatever you have planned, whether you want to buy a house, whether you want to get married, whether you want to travel the world, you want to send your kids for a good school, all of these plans are ruined now. So you are in a state of anger. And then you come into a state of bargaining. How the heck I'm supposed to do more with less? Like, how would I deal with this thing? I don't have that much of money. The market value of my house has gone down. My stock value has gone down. I don't have the same amount of people in my life supporting me. So then finally you come into next stage, which is depression. You tell yourself, keep calm and carry on, it would work out, and all of those kind of things. But at the same time, somewhere you have this hope things would like work out in the old fashion, which is like, I would get everything back, whatever I lost. But you're still living in the past, because in depression you're still holding on to whatever is gone. Till the time you come to a place of acceptance where you start flowing with whatever is there. You accept this is what it is. And another way to say it is you surrender with whatever is going on. And until and unless you actually come into a place of surrender, you are actually not going to find the solution. Because another way to find a solution is like when people say that, how do you find the solution? the easy way to find a solution is that when you can start seeing things in a bigger perspective, when you move out of problem consciousness to solution consciousness, and to move from problem consciousness to solution consciousness is like vibrating at a higher vibration. So you move to a higher vibration to find a solution which is there for a problem which is into a lower vibration. If you keep on struggling, keep on being there in that space, it's very hard for you to see clearly. You are so much emotionally you're so much emotionally confused, unclear, mentally unclear, and you don't have the enough power and resources. So you have to go to the next level to really find that solution. So as as crises come, and all of you know that like these days, more or less, everybody is actually sharing with you when crises come what you need to do. Uh, that's why you actually do all of those crisis planning, which is also called your emergency planning. So you have your own list of what you do for preparing for a crisis, and there is emergency supplies, there is food, what kind of production you need, what kind of money you want in your bank, how much medicine stock you need, how much internal power, and all of this is done so that when that actual thing happens, the so-called crisis happens, you have the resources to deal with it. The more you are prepared, the more there are no more emergencies. So there's a saying, when you are prepared, there are no emergencies. So so if you want to see crisis in Chinese, crisis is written in two different ways, and one means danger, another means opportunity. And if you really want to see how that works, is that how you look at whatever is coming at you, because that change which is coming at you, sometimes that change is very coming in a very dangerous form. If it's a natural calamity, you don't even know how it's going to impact you, because you have seen those news, that how people have been moved out of their places, and people who have gone through midlife crisis, how they find it really tough. People who have gone through divorces, how it's so difficult for them, or they have to switch jobs or when they are laid off to find new job. All of them are very challenging situations, especially in this time, where if you kind of lose a job, it's very difficult. It takes time to find a new job. But ultimately, it's all about perspective, how you're looking at the situations which are coming. So if if I have to look at it, and based on my experience or my practice of where I have been practicing meditation, teaching, understanding, going deeper, I personally look at a crisis, and my definition of crisis is an opportunity for opening up. And what I mean by that is that all the discomfort which is being experienced by me, uh, at different levels. I've been pushed, I've been challenged emotionally, I've been challenged spiritually, I've been challenged mentally, and I'm feeling this pain, like this discomfort, which is not allowing me to be who I am, like to lead my life the way I have been leading. But now I have to make different choices. And I look at it as like, now all of this pain is just a message. It's a messenger which is bringing a message to tell me that something needs to shift, something needs to be changed. And what needs to be changed is coming in form of uncomfortable emotions. These uncomfortable emotions are the ones which are actually these uncomfortable emotions are the ones which are giving me the message. And all the uncomfortable emotions are giving the message from the parts of me which are unhealthy, which are not being healed. If some of you who have attended my past couple of webinars on heart-centered spiritual living, I went in depth about the emotional mastery, how emotions work, what kind of emotions creates what kind of behavior, and how to see through all of this to really uh, get back to my own heart center, the place to access my authentic power. So all of this discomfort is actually coming as an opportunity. A lot of people who lost their jobs, they 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 went and started the businesses. They started doing things which they were postponing for so long. Some of the people who came out of the relationship, even though it was very hard decision, hard choices, went through a lot of drama, but ultimately they found that freedom, which was which was which was to be found there. And the thing is, at some point of time, everybody goes through that 5-step grief and loss cycle, and everybody comes to acceptance at one point of time. And moving from that state of loss to coming to that point of acceptance, for somebody, it's a matter of 10 minutes. For somebody, it's a matter of 1 day. For somebody, it's a matter of a year. For somebody, it's a matter of 10 years. And if you really see the amount of time we have lost in deciding, being clear, moving from that place of denial to acceptance, is the life lost which I would have lived. If I've come to acceptance of whatever is happening in my life, if I lost somebody, and I've taken 10 years to come to acceptance of that, then it means I have lost those 10 years of my life, which I would have lived the way I wanted. And I've been telling myself, like, I would have lived it if this crisis won't have happened. But the crisis has come to open you up to new possibilities. So I have lost those 10 years struggling with these emotions, struggling with my own mental uh, trauma, which is like replaying that same old scenery again and again, wishing that something could have changed. So what determines that you move from denial to acceptance in a very quick time frame? Like, instead of spending 10 years, you probably take a day, maybe you probably take a week, or maybe you probably just take 10 minutes moving from denial to acceptance, so that you can decide. Because once you come to an acceptance, you have resources available to you to decide what needs to be done next. And that's what crisis is all about, to push you to decide things which you wanted to do, which you were not able to do, or which you were postponing to do before. Some of them you wanted it inside, some of them you are pushed to do it, depending on what was your deepest heart's longing. So we would always like to grow in a very healthy manner, like, oh, I would go take a class, go to a school, or if my partner teaches me in a very good way, my parents love me better. And I imagine all the good scenarios in which I could do my learning to move from denial to acceptance, or to get the learnings in my life which I really want. But the so-called, whether you call it a good news or a bad news, the learnings doesn't always come in the way I have accepted them. They come in different ways, but they come exactly in the way in which I would like to, grow, which is most beneficial for me, for my growth. Otherwise, it will not happen. So what should I really do to really make sure that I'm ready for this? I don't spend those 10 years in denial before I come to acceptance, so that I'm able to live my life. And all of this is actually happening because the pain which is actually pushing you is to grow. So there are only two ways you actually grow or go to the next level. Either pain pushes to go to the next level, or you have such a big vision that you are pulled by that vision. You are like inspired every day to go and find that vision, to follow that vision. So there are only two ways everybody grows. So pain would push until the vision pulls. And that pain is actually coming out all in the form of crisis. Like, I am not putting that much of effort. Even though I have a vision, I'm not pushing myself, getting inspired to follow my vision. So the pain is pushing you to get out of that comfort zone, making you uncomfortable, so that you can be more open to the lessons which are coming in your life, so that you can learn from them. And it's, as I mentioned before, not all the learning comes in the way I would love myself to grow, but it's coming exactly in the way to deal with all those situations, all those parts of me which are there, which doesn't want to grow, and that's not fulfilling my life. So the question is, how should I move from denial to acceptance, from that place of discomfort and painful position to come to a place where I say, hey, I need to go ahead and do this. This is how I'm going to live my life. And for that, you need stability and the stability is there so that you can actually so that you can manage all of these challenges which are coming, all of these different choices which are coming. And the question is, how do I maintain that stability on day-to-day basis? Because stability is not something which you create when the challenges are there. Stability is the power which you create every day, which could be used in the times of challenges and crisis. So before I jump into how do I create stability, how do I maintain stability, let's see what does stability really means, And if you really see, this is a dictionary meaning of stability. It's the quality or state of something that is not easily changed or likely to change. And the other one is the quality or state of someone who is emotionally or mentally healthy. And if you see the origin of the word stability, it is actually coming from a Latin word to stand, which means to hold your ground, so that nobody can move you from your own choices, from where you want to be, when you want to be, from your own place of strength. So stability is to hold your ground, technically. And everything which is coming is actually coming to challenge you so that you can take that challenge and do something beautiful with it. Another way to understand is, like, I always give this example that when you're playing a game, any kind of a game, like you play soccer, you could be either in the audience clapping for people who are playing the soccer, people who are living their life, or you could be the player who is actually playing in the field itself. And the challenge for you is when the soccer ball comes to you. As soon as the ball comes to you, there would be there are few opponents who would be coming to challenge you to take the ball away from you. So your job is to use that challenge to either feel uncomfortable, that you feel other people are coming and attacking you, but at the same time you also have the opportunity to go and score the goal and get to the glory. So it's the same opportunity, and at the same time it's a dangerous situation also. So it's an oversimplified version of what I'm sharing in crisis. But ultimately, if you really see, if there is a challenge coming to you, there is a crisis coming to you, there is an opportunity for you to find what needs to be done. And for you to be ready to score that goal, to convert that dangerous situation, the so-called dangerous situation, into opportunities once you already have that stability inside. And that stability is something which is an everyday practice. You can't just go ahead and create stability when the challenge actually comes. It's like difficult situations. There is a saying that difficult situations are the times when your character is tested. It's not the time when you would build your character. So similarly, you build your stability over a period of time. So when the crisis comes, the challenges comes, you actually showcase it, and then you are actually absolutely ready to deal with it. So what is required to create stability, actually? So if you really see what is required to create stability, so if we talk about all of these four levels, so you need to be spiritually empowered. And what do I really mean by spiritually empowered is that that you need to have access to your authentic power, your own power, which is coming from inside, and you are emotionally stable. And what I mean by emotionally stable is you are not stuck anywhere. There is no kind of emotions which are flowing, whether it's frustration, anxiety, irritation, embarrassment, confusion. All of this actually happens when you face a crisis. And if you really see, if you are not in a place of stability, and people who are not mature to manage the challenges, they come into avoidance, they come into denial, they get into confusion, they get very scared, and actually they start blaming other people also. So it's like the first thing which really happens is you start blaming other folks, and that is not a very wise option, because you are, by blaming somebody else, you are still in a denial that something is happening, and you're responsible for whatever is happening to make a choice out there. So on a mental level, you need to have that clarity, and the clarity comes when you're detached from that scene, whatever is happening, so that you can see objectively rather than being caught up into that, and also coming from a place of peaceful mind, so that you can absolutely see what needs to be done, so that there is a proper discrimination, there is proper decision which could be made based on whatever the circumstances, situations, and finally be peaceful. And at the same time, at a physical level, you need to be strong. So these are the few things which you actually need to to create stability on an everyday basis. So I went quite a length in my last webinar on creating emotional stability. How do you create emotional stability? How do you detach from your emotions? How do you see things in a perspective where you can manage all your emotions? Because at the end of the day, emotions are just like waves. They come and they go. And since they come and go, there is nothing which you would find yourself to be attached to, because one emotion comes after another emotion. Because the emotion, in its very basic form, the definition is energy in motion. So if you don't allow the motions to flow, they get stuck, and all of this frustration, avoidance, blame, all of these are emotions which are stuck, and something much more is brewing inside. So what I'm going to focus today is just a couple of things. One is the authentic power. How do I really create authentic power? How do I really find that authentic power inside? And cover a little bit about emotions, so that it gives the context, because emotions and mind are connected together, because the story which mind replays, you go through the same emotion, even though that story is, whether it's a true story, it's a perceived story, or it has happened several years in the past. It doesn't really matter. So so how do I really create authentic power? And what I mean by authentic power is, let's understand what is authentic power at first place. So authentic power is the alignment of all your life energies with your soul. Integration and balance of all energies lead to experience of authentic powers. And what I mean by this is, like, you have all of these different parts. You have your physical part, you have your emotional part, you have your mental part. If I may say, these are all different parts of you, and all of these different parts are part of your personality. And then there is you, who has all of these parts. Just like you say that my body, right? My mind, my intellect, my emotions. So there is this you to whom all of these things belong. That's why you're saying my this, my that. Just like you say my car. So now all of these have, if they are not all of them are integrated together. If all of them are not, aligned together, then each one of them is going to run on its own agenda. If something has happened in the past and now a situation comes which looks like a repetition of the past, and depending on what was your response in the past, you're actually going to replay the same emotions again, because you would go through the same panic, you would go through the same fear, or if it's a good situation, you would go through the same happiness. But ultimately, if each one of them perceives the situation in its own way, then each one of them is going to go in its own direction. And when it goes into its own direction, it's like you have 4 horses in a cart, and all the 4 horses want to go in their own individual direction. Guess where the cart would go? It won't move anywhere. It would get stuck there, and you, the driver, is going to go nowhere. You would actually end up being more frustrated. So all of these different energies, these 4 horses, has to be aligned together for you to move towards the direction in which would take you towards your destination. So this authentic power is alignment of what you really want, truly want, which is your higher purpose, why you are here, the dream which you want to live your life, to connect to all of these and use that power of all of this energy from all of these pieces, all of these parts, to fuel your journey forward. So how so in order to do that, we need to really understand a little bit more about what authentic power is. And and the science of authentic power is is being fully engaged in the present moment, you know. And what I mean by that is that the person who's living in an authentic power is always present. And what it means is that they are not living in the past, they are not living in the projected future, they are living in the present moment, so that they can see the things the way as it's unfolding, you know. And as it's unfolding, they're looking into it objectively, not going through the past drama, past emotions, not coming from a place of old stories, and just being fully engaged what needs to be done in that moment. And which means, like, whatever has happened in past minute has no influence what they are dealing with it in present moment. And also, authentic power is a human experience without the limitation of fear, self-doubt, and self-hatred. What it means is you are free from all of this mental and emotional drama of being limited by the old past fears. You have your own doubts and self-hatred or guilt or whatever it is you are coming from. So when you're living in authentic power, in that experience, you are not going to deal with any of those things. It is when you are coming from authentic power. And the reason why I'm using the word authentic power is you can see the definition of power in the world around you. If it's not authentic power, it's a power which is coming from outside, whether it's based on your position in the society, the seat, or the or the the seat, or based on the money, the uh, political prestige, or how much bank balance you have. These are all powers coming from outside. You know, who you know, uh, the people in the right place, and all that. You can use that power to manipulate things around you, but ultimately, it's not authentic power. Once all of these things shifts outside, whether your position goes, the bank balance changes, you don't have the right amount of people who you know, then you're back to that place of crisis. So authentic power is the power which is actually coming from inside, and that's why it is without limitation or without any fear, because the fear is all coming from the loss of, oh, that position goes, that money goes. It is also being so powerful that the idea of showing power through the use of force is not even part of your consciousness. And what I mean by that is, most of the time when you see the example of power outside, when one country attacks other country, or when somebody retaliates, these are all power coming in the form of force. So its authentic power is so strong in itself that there is no need to show any kind of force to reflect it. And and then you would be also, if you're living in that place of authentic power, you would have awareness what is authentically happening at each level, which means what's happening at the physical level, what's happening at my emotional level, what's happening at my mental level, and what's happening at my spiritual level. You would be absolutely clear about it. And all of this comes, it's like when you have that authentic power playing, you would be aware of everything that you're feeling all of the time. And what I mean by that is that you would be absolutely aware what's going on every single moment, you know. And as that's happening, you would be really uh, you would be really feeling that you are in control, you know. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for you to really move from one place to another. So being in the authentic power is actually controlling your own life the way you want to be. So then when you're in authentic power, then any kind of situation might come, any kind of crisis would come. Nothing would actually shift you from who you are. You would find that stability. And the stability, that's why, is created moment by moment. That authentic power is being created moment by moment, so that that stability keeps on increasing. So in the middle of the night, somebody throws some challenge at you, you would still be absolutely stable to deal with it. So I would like to share a couple of pointers on uh, how to create, like, what are the first steps which is needed to create authentic power. So you become aware of everything what you're feeling. And the reason why I'm saying you become become aware of everything that you're feeling is because if you're not aware, you don't know what's going on. You can't observe, and if you can't observe, then the very natural thing what's happening with you is you're already absorbed into what's going on. So if you're not aware what's going on, then you're like there's a story playing, there's an emotion going on inside you. You're actually absorbed into it. You will not be able to see whatever is coming to you in a very objective fashion, and that's why. And as you feel, you would know the message is coming. So your feelings would tell you like what's going on right now. For example, at the end of the day, if you ask yourself, how was your day? You can think very much and all that, like, hey, I did this, I did that, and all that thing. But if you tune into your feelings would actually tell you how your day was. It was great, it was this, it was bad, it was not so good, it was routine, it was boring, whatever it is. Also, you cannot align your life energies with your higher self without becoming conscious of your emotions. So emotions are very clear. That's why I focused on the feeling part. So feeling is how you perceive your emotions. So I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling sad, I'm so happy, sadness, all of these are emotions, but how you're feeling is basically perceiving those emotions. So until unless you detach yourself from these emotions so that you can see things clearly, you'll still be at the mercy of these emotions coming. And emotions are just like waves. So either they would throw you out, throw you around, or you can learn how to ride those emotions. And understanding that what's going on every single moment is like a moment by moment learning. The more you get attuned with whatever is going on inside, the more you become aware of what's going on inside, you would learn from every moment. I would say, oh, every time when I interact with somebody in this situation, that's how I feel. I feel safe, or I feel unsafe, or I feel traumatized, I feel challenged. So you know in that particular situation, these kind of emotions you feel. If you're not aware, you're already feeling that and you're already on the right. So nobody is going to, so there is no learning there. But once you're aware, you start becoming much more aware of what's going on with you. So it's a very interesting journey to know your own self. Because if you're not aware of it, then what's going to happen is some situation comes, you would respond from the past response mechanism, fight, flight, freeze, whatever it is, or you would blame somebody else, but you would never be able to build, to create your own authentic power. And once you're not able to do that, it becomes very challenging. And that's why the more you become, the more you become aware, the more you start creating that power, and the more you start creating power uh, is the journey which you really want to take, because then the stability is a day by day process. It's going to stay with you. So whether there is something, there's a challenge at a mental level, you would be aware how to deal with it. If there is a challenge at an emotional level, you would know how to deal with it. It's a challenge at a spiritual level, your identity crisis, like who am I, what I'm doing here, all of these kind of things, it becomes very clear to you because you're aware. So I talked a lot about I talked a lot about in my last lecture about heart-centered spiritual living, and the reason why I talked about heart-centered spiritual living was to to share with you the ideas that when you're living in a very heart-centered life, and part of living heart-centered life is being absolutely aware of what's going at different levels. So heart here is the heart of the being. As you live from that, you're living from very centered life, and that allows you to create authentic power. So if you see that heart-centered life leads to authentic power. The more you're aware of yourself, the more everything is going on at each of these levels, it gives you that information, it gives you that emulation to really make those changes at all of these different levels. And the more you are able to fine tune yourself at different levels, it's like you have all the information available. So, oh, in these situations, I feel emotionally challenged. So what should I do? So on day-to-day basis, you actually work on yourself to start feeling emotionally stable. Oh, in these situations, I become very mentally challenged. I don't know what's the clarity, what I really need to do, what I need to talk, what I need to say, how do I need to act. Then you actually move to a much more stronger level where you decide how do I really create that authentic power by tuning into all of this information which is there, both at a personal level and the external level, whatever is coming. The more you become master at a personal level, the more you get aware of what's coming from outside, and you can deal with that too, because now that power is coming from inside. Because once you become a heart-centered person, you are actually going to see a life which is very different from how other people see. Heart-centered person sees life as a whole without division and compartment. So you would know that you can't really just make one choice about one part of your life and it won't affect the other. Or how at the same time you would realize by making a small shift at one part of my life, like if I change the way I think, if I change the belief system which I'm holding, it is going to have a ripple effect on a lot of different things. It would change the emotions I feel. It would change the physicality, how those biochemical feedbacks through those emotions are coming. So it would lead to a healthy lifestyle. A heart-centered person is more likely to see life as a gift, an opportunity to be creative, co-creative with others, and play and live in a very playful adventure. So he or she would look for stability, but not from a place of escape where, like, oh, when things come, I would be absolutely, this is when it comes, this is how I would, this would be the response on that. They would be very present, so they know what the response would be, but they would live in an adventure because they're not coming from a place like, oh, this is how it's going to be there, and this is how exactly I'm going to respond. By being present, they would have the resources, but they would also be open to all the adventure which is coming. And heart-centered person knows that eventually they must become their uh, their own masters, because they might go out and look out for people to be their mentors, to help them and all that, but ultimately they know they have all the answers inside. And the whole idea of authentic, reaching out to your authentic power, is to be guided from inside, because once you're guided from inside, you don't have to spend time outside looking for reading 10,000 reports, what's going on here, asking for advices but still not being sure. You actually would have the clarity coming from inside, and they would realize that a fulfilling and happy life is not something that can be forced or shaped by others or the world. It has to come from my own heart. What is it I really want to be tuned in? So if you really see, like we talked about crisis, but ultimately it's much more deeper thing which is happening inside. The choice has to be much more deeper on day-to-day basis rather than when the crisis is happening. Also, a heart-centered person works on cultivation of self-awareness and a clear intellect, uh, which is informed from the innate wisdom, which is already coming from inside. So, so if you really see, this heart-centeredness is actually the thing which actually allows you to live a very powerful and positive life. So now the question is, how do I embark on this journey? You know, how do I embark on this journey where I actually create uh, an amazingly powerful and stable life? So I discussed with you the idea of that integrating all of the energies of different parts and aligning them together. So how do I align them together? A very simple example is, like, as kids, all of you might relate to this. As kids, when we were playing with this lens, which is which is a magnifying lens. So what we used to do is that we used to take a paper and go into the sunlight, put the magnifying lens on the paper, and just kind of hold it in such a way where we focus the sunlight in a very specific beam on the paper. And as you focus it, you keep on focusing, the dot keeps on becoming sharper and sharper. And wow, in a moment, you start seeing the smoke from the paper. We used to get very excited. Wow, I'm burning the paper, like there's something new experiment which I've done. And we used to love that experiment and really like it. So similarly, using the same example, if you really see that that the energy is there, everything around us is energy, whether it's a physical level, emotional level, mental level, even outside us, everything which is the matter is also energy. But how do I use this energy which is outside to really bring it together, like through that, like in this, using the same example of magnifying glass, that sunlight together, so that I can actually create that power and use that power to create that create that journey to be authentic, to be heart-centered. And then finally, that would automatically, as a side effect, would create stability. So I'm not going out and creating stability on the sake of stability, but I'm making all of these choices on day-to-day basis whose side effect is stability. So, so in fact, power very much depends on and could also be defined as another way is how we use our energy. Like all these different resources which are available to us, how do we use it? So one thing which I recently learned was, which really helped me in my journey, was that you only have whatever you have, even though there's crisis, these emergencies, we do all those kind of stuff to have our emergency kits ready at a different level, physical level, emotional level, you have medicines and all that. But to ultimately have sense of control that when things come to us, we are able to handle them. But if you really see that the real control actually lies within. And that's what the authentic power is. When you have that authentic power inside, you can manage whatever is coming your way, not the other way around. Because if you depend uh, on the things outside to create stability, as the things would change, so will your stability would shake also. So everything within us, within and around us, is simply energy in various forms, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual. These are all different energies that make up our inner and outer worlds. So how do we get from energy to power? How do we transform our energy into power, and how do we direct the use of that power? In fact, what is the difference between energy and power? So if you really see, and I'm using the same example of magnifying glass, so the equivalent of magnifying glass is, of course, a clear sense of purpose. That is what focuses and concentrates our thinking and inform our decision making. It actually empowers us to influence future change. And power is all about influencing change the way you want it and make a significant in our immediate world and even the world at large. But which is like first influencing my own world, and by influencing my own world, I would have power to shift that things outside also. The end result, when visible, that shift which this happens, if it happens in the way you really want it, is actually achievement. So, so how do how do our energy shifts into power? So there is only one way in which you have control, and the control which I'm talking about is where you put your attention. And what I mean by that is, whatever you put your attention, that part of your life grows. So if you put your attention on something negative going on in your life, that's going to grow, because you as a conscious living being is putting your energy into something, whether alive or living thing, whatever it is, and by giving your energy, you're allowing it to grow. And it doesn't matter whether you're giving a negative attention or a positive attention. Whatever you are putting your attention, that thing grows. So if you imagine in the room where there are two big balloons, one is filled with, one is a black balloon, one is a white balloon. White balloons defines all the light, black balloons defines all the negativity. And you start filling that, both the balloons. And if you fill both of them 50-50, there would be 50% of light and 50% of negativity. But at the same time, if you fill a black one completely, the whole room fills with this black one, then all that is there is 100% negativity. On the other hand, if you can fill that white balloon, which is all positivity and fills the whole room, that all that's there is full positivity, 100%. So that room is actually you, the inside of you, what you are putting your attention, which is getting fed inside, that is actually creating the power inside. So that's why there is a saying that be grateful for everything, because then you have more to be grateful for. And another way to look at it is that more, whatever you appreciate, it appreciates. It doesn't matter whether you appreciate a negative thing, you appreciate a positive thing, because the law of universe, which is law of attraction, it actually works on whatever you're focusing on, whatever you are vibrating, at what level you're vibrating. If you're vibrating at a positive level, you would attract the positive things, because that's what you're broadcasting. So as you start focusing on all the positive things, start focusing on that I'm here to learn, all of these challenges are actually opportunities to open me up, to take me to the next level. Then if you operate from that level, then you start creating power. And as that start does that power start building, then when the situations arise, you are ready to make the right choices, right decisions to take you to the next level. But at the same time, just like I was talking about the purpose, which is your magnifying glass, purpose is not always enough to turn energy into power. We also need a clear set of values to guide the use of that power. So just as there are many ways to the so-called saying skin a cat, as they say, where people like in some of the places they say there are many ways to achieve a purpose. So a restaurant would basically say, we want to have this much amount of this X amount of dollar turnover by the end of the year. So that's a very clear-cut purpose. But ultimately, if it's not driven by values, then you can achieve that purpose through several things. You can bring down the quality, and you can keep the cost low, but bring down the quality. You can achieve the same purpose. But if you have the right set of values, they would actually support the purpose in the right way. So that's why if you see some companies' vision, there is a very clear vision statement. They're very clear cut. They're very clear cut values associated to achieve those visions and that purpose. And even some companies have that value system which says do it the right way. So no matter what, do it the right way. And if we don't use the correct way, then we will not only diminish the consistency and the longevity of our power, but we may also affect our ourselves and others in a detrimental way along the way, in the long term. And if you really see the world around you, people who have power and who have access to the power, if they are not coming from a place where this power is supported by proper values, the effect of that power, the use of that power is very detrimental for them and for others. And you've seen again and again examples that how people have misused the powers because there was no proper value system which was associated there. So which leaves us with a deeper definition of power, this authentic power. So as energy focused by purpose and guided by values to creating a very beautiful, uplifting life. So that is where we need to focus on. That's where we are coming from, and ultimately understanding that that this journey requires three things. One is the power, which we are talking about, but not just power through the purpose, which is there, but also the values which are related to it. So how do I really create a power? By converting that available resources to me is by having a very defined purpose. And this purpose is actually being supported by the different value system. And I'm not the one, like for example, to decide for somebody's value system. Everybody has a different purpose why they are here in this lifetime, what they want to achieve. And unless they are not able to achieve this, they would never feel satisfied. All the crises in a way which are coming your way, all the challenges which are coming your way is actually trying to push you towards that purpose for which you have a heart longing to achieve in this lifetime. And at the same time, if you dig deeper inside, if you spend that time inside with you, you would be very, very familiar with all the values. And each one knows their own values. Like for some people, they absolutely want honesty in all their relationships. So honesty is their biggest value. For other people, they want sincerity. For some other people, they want freedom. So each one of them has their own values, and if you have seen the history, people have actually died to stand for those values. So this journey is very interesting, but ultimately, to reach to that authentic power, you need to find a very clear purpose, and then finally to go to a place which is supported by the values, because these values are the ones which doesn't change. The purpose might sometimes change, but ultimately your values remain consistent, which drive the purpose. So if you really see, authentic power is the energy focused by purpose and guided by values to create a stable and uplifting life. So take a moment and really think about it. What exactly it really means to me? The authentic power is created by the energy which I use from all the resources available, and it's focused by a purpose, which is the magnifying lens, and guided by values to create a stable and uplifting life. Because if that's not happening, then I would be able to still create power, or I would be able to get power from outside for different crises to manage them. But would I be able to create a stable and uplifting life? And if you really see, it's not just for you, for everybody around you who come in touch with you, either they would get uplifted or they would not be uplifted, depending on where that power is actually coming from. So the question comes to you is, uh, where do you want to go from here? You have everything very clear, like whatever you need, it's very clear. So that's how you create authentic power. That's how you uh, that's how you find values inside you, and and then that's why I talked also about the awareness at all the different levels. So one of the ways in which you can create awareness is, like some of you might be doing meditation, involved into mindfulness practice, and you must be part of some organizations which are helping you reach that goal. But ultimately, all of these different organizations, different paths which you're following, they're all means for you to reach and access that authentic power so that you can live from there. You have access to that. And since you have access to that, you are actually able to fulfill the dream, fulfill that purpose. And these values are the pillars on which you would build that life, fulfill that purpose. So mindfulness is actually one of the things which we do, but meditation is still, it's just a means. But that's why it allows you to step back and see how things function. And when I'm like, that's why I learn a lot of heart-centered circles. And what I mean by heart-centered circles is we are a bunch of people together, we sit and we dig deeper into our own selves, our own beings, and because the way these circles are constructed in in a such a safe manner, because we already have agreements, what we do, what we will do, what we won't do, we create these safe spaces where we can go and explore all the parts of us, parts which we have rejected, parts which which we think we don't even have access to, or sometimes we feel that they are too much shameful for me to access them because there's so much of guilt and shame associated with it. But whether you're accessing them or not, you're spending already a whole lot of your energy in suppressing those parts, suppressing those old emotions from your childhood, which are unintegrated and unprocessed. And since they are unintegrated and unprocessed, they are not aligned with with your overall goal, with your soul's goal, which I mentioned about the alignment of all the different energies. And since it's not aligned, they are a horse. It's like a wild horse running on its own, and actually, it is the one which is actually stopping you from reaching out to your own purpose and living the life which you really want. So when I do the coaching within group coaching or one-to-one coaching, I allow people to access those parts so that they bring light to these parts, so that they stop wasting their time and energy into dealing with it. Like there is part of you which you don't want to see, which you don't want others to see also. It's like it's not allowing you to be fully you, to be free. And since it's not free, how would you be able to present yourself or show yourself up completely in life itself in front of other people? Because you have to invest so much of time in hiding those parts. So when I work with people, I coach them, I free them from that, so that they can bring 100% of them to life, to people, so that when people interact with them, so like this person is special because they bring 100% of them, they show up 100% in life. When they show up 100% in life, life shows up 100% for them. So I use all the different practices like meditation, like a very focused group coaching or a personal coaching, to allow people to come into their own fullness, to allow them to see what are their true values are. Because a lot of times our values, our values are innate values, and some of them are acquired values. The acquired values are the values which have come from conditioning, the values from the culture, the values from the religion, the values from the family in which you've grown up, and these are acquired values because you have picked them on the way. So your mind, which is conditioned, actually brings those values and interferes with what is your original innate value. So I actually help you to figure out what is your innate value, because if you're not living your innate value, no matter how much achievement you would get, you're never going to feel 100% fulfilled, because a highly achieved, a high achievement life and a fulfilled life are two different lives. A highly person with high achievement doesn't really mean it's a fulfilling life, but a person with a fulfilling life definitely have achievements, and it's very personal to him, whether people recognize it or not. So what I was thinking was, we have few minutes, and I would like to, what I would like to do is, I would like to do a little guided meditation. So I would take you in this journey, really find that place inside, uh, to be a little bit more aware about your emotions, your feelings through this guided meditation. And at the same time, you can get a taste of what it feels to come into your own power, or find your own stability inside. So I hope all of you are ready to do a little bit of meditation. Some of you, uh, if you are if you're driving or listening to this, where you can't settle down and be relaxed, then just listen to it, just enjoy it. But some of you who can find this space, you can feel free to just sit down, relax. You can close your eyes. I would play some light music, and I would have some words going along with it. And then what we are going to do is, you just have to follow my directions. So, and it's just enjoyable. There is no right way or wrong way to do it. And since there is no right way or wrong way to do it, you don't have to worry too much about whether I'm doing it right or wrong. The last thing which you really want to do in a meditation practice is stress too much about whether you're doing it right or wrong, because then you are in a place of stress rather than enjoying or being relaxed. So let's get settled, get into a place where you can just be relaxed, and I'm going to put a picture there so that you are just, if your eyes are open, you are able to just stabilize it. So just sit relaxed wherever you are, and just allow yourself to come into a place of relaxation. And just breathe in and take a deep breath in, and gently let it out. Take another deep breath in and gently let it go. And as you are doing so, just become internalized, just become centered, and drop inside. And one of the easy way to become centered or dropping inside is, as you breathe in, just follow the breath as it goes inside, and wherever it lands, just go there and stay there. Because wherever your breath lands, whether it's in your throat, in your chest, in your abdomen, or lower abdomen, that's the place of safety. And since that's the place of safety, it's very easy to become stable there. And just give yourself few moments. You'll be here for next 7 to 10 minutes to allow yourself to come into a place of relaxation. So give yourself permission to be relaxed for next few moments, just for your own self. And we would step by step just relax our bodies so that we become more relaxed every passing moment. So just relax your feet as if you are letting them go, like you have no agenda for them. And since you have no agenda for it, your body becomes heavier and you become lighter because you're no longer holding on to it. Relax your ankles, relax your shin, relax your knees, relax your calves. Relax your thighs, relax your lower abdomen, relax your belly, like everything is dissolving in this moment. There is nothing to hold, nowhere to go, just being completely relaxed in this moment. Relax your chest, relax your shoulders, relax your arms all the way to the fingertips. Like everything just becoming light. Relax your throat, relax your jaw, relax your chin, relax your lips, relax your nose, relax your tongue, your eyes, your eyelids. Relax your forehead, relax the top of your head, relax the back of your head. Relax your neck, your upper shoulders, your upper back. Relax your spine all the way to the base of the spine. And relax your legs all the way back to your feet. Like everything is in this moment. Absolutely relaxed, settled, easy. There is nothing in this moment which is pulling your attention in any way. Even a part of your body pulls your attention. Just gently bring it back. And you can even breathe into that part. And as you breathe in, you would be more relaxed. So just find yourself inside, like just check what's moving for you right now. And when I say what's moving for you right now is check what kind of emotions are available to you right now. What kind of feelings which are going on for you right now? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you excited? Are you anxious? Or you might be completely numb. You might have a lot of emotions and feelings going on for you right now. And it's also okay. The question is not to judge what's going on, but just to be open and be available to what's there right now. So just watch what's moving for you right now. And if there is an emotion, you're happy, is your mind telling you why it is happy? What's the reason for it? What's the story behind it? If you're unhappy or sad, what your mind is saying why you're unhappy or sad. So recognize what is the story. And the story might be true or false, it doesn't really matter. But what is real is what you are experiencing right now in this moment. That's the reality. As you're doing so, just understand that what's moving for you is easy, very simply, just watching, not judging. And whatever, if that emotion is, just check which part of your body is that emotion. Is it in your belly, in your chest, whatever that emotion is? And you can breathe into it if it's uncomfortable. And even if it's comfortable, you can breathe into it there also. Now think of a moment, think of a time in your life when you absolutely felt really powerful, very stable. Like everything was absolutely very clear. What you need to do, like who you need to call, who you need to contact. You know the exact balance of what to say, when to say, how to say. When was that time? So recollect the memory of that time. And even if some of you might think that, oh, you were never ever to that level of clarity or stability, to that power, then somewhere you exactly know where, how does it feel to be in that place of power. So bring in that understanding, that memory, that knowing from inside. And as you bring that knowing, that understanding, just check where do you feel that stability, feel that power. And now let go of that story, the time, the moment where you exactly experience that power. Just allow yourself to stay with that feeling, that emotion of that pure power. And just choose to breathe into that place where you're experiencing this power. And as you breathe in, use that breath to now exhale and allow that power to be now spread from that place into the rest of your body. And with every breath, as if you're using it as a fuel, that power increases. And as it increases, it spreads in the different parts of your body. So it spreads into your belly, in your chest. And just make a small switch here. Just as you breathe in, just inhale, just feel as if you're breathing in a pure life force, the energy. And as you exhale, it gets converted into that authentic power and it spreads into your body. And slowly you can gently take it to different parts of your body. and allow that to flow. Reach out to all the way to your top of your head. Reach out to your fingertips, to your feet. And also let it spread into the space around you. Like with every breath, as it increases, it goes and spreads into the space around you. And knowing that you are a very powerful and unlimited being, you can make a choice to enhance this space, this power, like 10 times, like it goes 10 times now. And you can increase it 20 times, so it spreads and fills the room around you. And just you can send this power, because now you have access to it, not just keep it for yourself, but you can send it to whoever you want, people you know, people you don't know, anyone you want. You can send it out to the whole planet as you wish to. And gently tell yourself that you have access to this power whenever you want, wherever you want. All you need to do is bring your awareness and attention inside. Whenever you're ready, you can have access to it. And take a deep breath in, and just be aware that you have access to this power, this stability inside, and you can choose to operate from this place. And whenever you are ready, you can gently open your eyes or bring back your awareness to your body, and just move your hand and feet to come back. And as you open your eyes gently, just whatever you see, whatever you are focusing on, just be aware that that thing, whether even it's a wall or it's a picture, it's actually reflecting back your own power back to you. That same authentic power. Take a deep breath in and come back. Welcome back. So, so what I would like to share before I close this is, if you guys have any questions, you can feel free to send your questions here. So let me go through what are the questions here. I think one of the question is, why does one take different timings for acceptance? And as I mentioned, that if everybody is a different capacity, everybody has a different level of power inside, which takes time for them to access that, or which takes time for them to deal with that particular situation. and it's also a combination of your old belief system where you have believed so strongly, and most of these beliefs come from your old conditioning that certain things has to be in certain way, and this has to be in this way, and because you're so attached to your own belief system, it becomes very difficult for you to see things in a very different way. And also at a deep level, you are actually drawing your power, your sense of who you are, from these belief system. A very simple thing is like a lot of times you have seen people fighting for religion. When somebody says that, oh, my religion is better than your religion, and if you challenge that your religion is not the best religion, or my religion is better, then you are actually attacking their identity, which is tied into that particular religion or a particular identity, which was giving them the power. So now you are taking away their source of power, no matter whatever their source of power is. So it's very hard for them to let it go. And the reason it's very hard for them to let it go is because they don't have access to inner space of authentic power. So they need to rely on something to operate their life. So either they have their own authentic power coming from inside, or they are taking it from outside. So that's why when we talked about the power thing, we just don't talk about the power, we talked about the values which are coming along with it. So that's the reason why it takes very hard. It's all the things which you have believed in, and the kind of uh, energy you have provided. So whatever you have given energy to, it has grown to a level where now it's so huge. Now you have to shift that. You need equally big energy to do that. And also sometimes we get stuck into a particular emotional energy. We get stuck sometimes, if you call it. So if you're stuck there, it's very hard for you to see the solution. So you have to come a little bit higher to really deal with this to find a solution. So you can't find the solution being in the same vibration of the problem. You have to come up. So to come up, you have to let go of what you have been holding on. So you can't have something new coming your way if you're already stuck with something old. So I hope that answers your question there. And at a practical level, even though we can talk a whole lot here about different things, but the most important thing is that we need to really practice it on everyday basis to come into that place of authenticity, to access that power step by step, step by step. And as we keep on doing that, it becomes much more easier on everyday basis, and we create that stability. So any more questions, anyone? And I will just wait for a couple of more minutes. So I'm going to share with you, I'm going to send you a couple of opportunities if you're interested in working with me, both as a personal level. I can help you in coming into more of your heart-centeredness to allow you to access your authentic power, but also the powerful process of working in a group where we use the group energy to come into much more deeper and to access that power which is already there, and also to let go of all the old belief systems or the things which are blocking us. So, so that being said, well, let me check one more question if I have more questions here. Okay, I think we are at the top of the hour, like almost 9 minutes of the hour, which we decided to finish. So thank you for joining in, and I wish you all the best in your journey for following your purpose, having access to your authentic power, and being stable in moments of crisis and challenges. And to really understand, these moments of crisis and challenges have come to take you to a better place, to make you much more powerful, so that you can follow your own dreams, your life's purpose, and live the life which you always wanted to live. So at the end of the day, you have lived a fully loving, fulfilling, powerful life. Thank you. And have a great evening. And I would send you the invitation for the webinar next month. I am planning to do a couple of webinars, like 1 or 2 webinars, 3 webinars for everybody. So thank you. Take care. All the best.